Right now, far below the surface, there's an animal awake in the dark. It's the heaviest invertebrate on Earth. Over 1,000 pounds and not a single bone in its body. It lives deeper than sunlight reaches, in water just above freezing, in permanent black. We've known it exists for about 100 years. In all that time, we've almost never seen a living one. It's not that we haven't looked, it's that it sees us first. Down there, it knows we're coming long before we know it's there. Our cameras are big and bright and loud, and it has spent millions of years learning to avoid exactly that. By the time we arrive, it's already gone. It's called the Colossal Squid. We've been trying to find one for 100 years, and the ocean has barely let us look. So here's the obvious question. If we can barely get a camera near one, how do we know it's there at all? Because other things catch it for us. 100 years ago, near the Falkland Islands, whalers cut open a sperm whale and found 2 arms in its stomach. Not a whole animal, just 2 arms, big enough and strange enough that they'd clearly come off something no one had a name for. That was it. That was the discovery. In 1925, an entire species was named off 2 severed arms pulled out of a predator's gut. And for most of the next century, that's how it stayed. No bodies, just pieces. A beak here, a fragment there, almost all of it scraped from the stomachs of sperm whales, the one animal big enough to go down and bring this thing back up. We didn't find the colossal squid. We found what was left of it, inside something else. It took until 1981 to recover a single whole one. To this day, only a handful of full-grown adults have ever been seen. Most of those hauled up by accident, tangled in deep-sea fishing lines. We have built almost everything we know about the largest invertebrate on Earth out of leftovers. So what did all these pieces add up to? An animal that, on the inside, has almost nothing in common with you. Every monster you grew up afraid of was, underneath, built like you are. The shark, the mosasaurus, the skeletons in the museum. A backbone, a skull, a single heart pumping red, iron-rich blood. Different shapes, same basic blueprint. The colossal squid runs on none of it. It has 3 hearts. 2 of them sit at the base of its gills and do nothing but push blood through them. The 3rd pumps that blood out to the rest of the body. And the blood isn't red, it's blue. Where ours carries oxygen on iron, it runs on copper, which works better in the cold, near-airless water it lives in. Its brain isn't in a skull. It's a ring, and its throat passes straight through the hole in the middle of it. Every meal it eats travels directly through its own brain. So it can't simply swallow large prey whole. It has to break its food into small pieces first, or risk damaging the one organ it can't replace. And it doesn't really swim, not the way a fish does. Its body is packed with a light ammonia-rich fluid that leaves it almost weightless in the water. So it hangs, it drifts, an animal this size hovering in the black, barely moving. It lets the water bring things to it. You and this animal last shared an ancestor more than 500 million years ago. Before the first fish, before the first bone. Everything about it took a different path from the very start. It isn't a monster from our branch of the tree. It's from another one entirely. Remember how it always sees us coming? This is how. The colossal squid has the largest eyes of any animal that has ever lived. Not the largest for its body size, the largest, full stop. Each eye is around 11 inches across, about the size of a dinner plate. The blue whale, the biggest animal on the planet, has an eye less than half that wide. Nothing in the history of life comes close. And here's the strange part. An eye that big shouldn't exist. Eyes are expensive. They cost a lot of energy to grow and to run, and more than half a mile down in permanent black, there's almost nothing to look at. Scientists worked out that just to find food, an eye the size of an orange would do the job perfectly well. Everything past that is wasted effort, unless the eye was never about finding food. The leading explanation is that the colossal squid grew an eye the size of a dinner plate to spot one specific thing in the dark, the animal that comes to eat it. Down there, the only thing large enough to see is another big animal on the move, because as it swims, it disturbs tiny organisms that flash with light. A huge body passing through the deep drags a faint, spreading glow behind it. And the huge body that comes down hunting colossal squid is the sperm whale. So the squid watches for the glow. The math says an eye this size can catch an approaching sperm whale from over 100 yards away, in total darkness, long before the whale has any idea the squid is there. That's what the biggest eyes on Earth are for. Not hunting, early warning. But seeing the whale coming only buys time. In the open black of the deep, there is nowhere to hide, which is why the colossal squid carries its weapons with it. Start with the arms, 8 of them, and down the middle of each runs a double row of hooks. Not suckers, hooks. Curved 3-point claws, each a main point with 2 smaller barbs at the base, set deep in muscle so they can dig in and hold. Most squid don't have these at all. The colossal squid is the only one in its entire family that grew them. Then the 2 long tentacles, the ones it keeps tucked away and shoots out only to strike. Each ends in a club carrying the strangest weapon the animal has, rotating hooks. 22 to 25 of them, and unlike the claws on the arms, these swivel, a full turn all the way around. So when a tentacle hits a fish and the hooks sink in, it doesn't matter how the fish thrashes. The hooks just turn with it and keep their grip. There's no angle of escape. Around the hooks sit the suckers, and even these aren't soft. Their rims are hard and sharply serrated, like rings of teeth, sharp enough that fish hauled up from the deep are sometimes found scarred with their circular marks. And at the center, where the arms meet, is the beak, hard, sharp, shaped like a parrot's, and big enough that it's one of the few parts of this animal we regularly pull intact from a whale's stomach. It's the tool for the problem from earlier, the throat that runs straight through the brain, too narrow to pass large prey. The beak cuts whatever the arms drag in down to pieces small enough to swallow. Now picture how it works, though no one ever has. No person has ever watched a colossal squid catch anything. Everything here we've pieced together from its body and from the marks it leaves behind. The best guess? It doesn't chase. It hangs in the black, nearly weightless, arms raised over its head, and waits. When something drifts close, it lunges, throws out those 7-foot tentacles, and the hooks do the rest. It isn't fast. It doesn't need to be. Its body burns so little energy that a single large fish can keep it going for days. It's patient. It waits in the dark, and when it finally closes its arms, what's inside them does not come back out. And for all of that, the hooks, the claws, the beak, it still isn't the most dangerous thing down there, because the same hooks that scar a fish turn up leaving their marks on something far bigger. The thing far bigger is the sperm whale. It's the largest predator with teeth on Earth, and it does something almost nothing else its size can do. It dives. More than a mile straight down into cold and crushing black on a single breath held for over an hour, down into the exact water the colossal squid lives in. And when sperm whales come back up, many of them are scarred. Rings and rakes cut into the skin around their heads. For a long time, those marks were blamed on the giant squid. But down here in the Southern Ocean, the giant squid is rare. And some of these marks carry the print of hooks, not just suckers. They're the colossal squids. So we know the two of them meet, and we know it's violent. Here's the part that turns everything so far on its head. This isn't the squid hunting the whale. It's the whale hunting the squid. For all of it, the size, the hooks, the claws, the largest eyes that ever existed, grown specifically to see this exact danger coming. The colossal squid is, to a sperm whale, a meal. We know because of what's inside the whales. Of everything a Southern Ocean sperm whale eats, by weight, the colossal squid may make up around 3/4 of it. These whales don't occasionally tangle with the monster. They live on it. And it isn't only the whales. Sleeper sharks take them. Even the toothfish the squid hunts will turn and feed on one that's hurt or dying. Being the heaviest invertebrate on the planet does not make it safe down there. Something is always bigger. So the scars on the whales aren't the marks of a hunter dragging down its prey. They're the opposite. They're what 1,000 pounds of hooks and claws leaves behind while it loses, a colossal squid fighting in the dark for its life. Whether it has ever truly hurt a whale, whether one has ever driven a sperm whale off, we don't know. We've never seen it. And that's the part to sit with. The largest toothed predator on Earth and the heaviest boneless animal on Earth locked together a mile beneath the surface. Something that might be happening somewhere in the Southern Ocean at this exact moment. And in all of human history, not one person has ever watched it happen. Everything you've heard so far, the size, the eyes, the hooks, is built on one animal, the biggest one we have ever gotten our hands on. It was caught by accident in 2007 by a fishing boat in Antarctic waters, then frozen and shipped to a museum to be thawed and measured. It weighed about 1,100 pounds, as heavy as a large grizzly bear, and the heaviest one ever actually put on a scale. And it almost certainly isn't the biggest out there. Here's how we know. A squid's beak grows in step with its body. Bigger animal, bigger beak. The beak of that 1,100-pound squid measured about 1.75 inches along its cutting edge, but beaks have turned up in sperm whale stomachs close to 2 inches. That sounds like a small difference. In the animal, it isn't. Those came off colossal squid clearly larger than any we have ever held, estimated at around 1,500 pounds. And estimated is the word that matters, because once again, the only proof is a piece of a mouth sitting in the stomach of the thing that ate it. We have never caught one that big, never weighed one, never seen one. You'll find bigger figures online, 40 feet and up. Be careful with those. They come from stretching out the long tentacles of dead animals, and after death, those tentacles slacken and pull far longer than they ever are in life. The honest answer to how big a colossal squid really gets is the one nobody likes. We don't know. The largest have never been in human hands. So somewhere in the Southern Ocean tonight, in water too deep and too remote to follow, is the largest colossal squid alive, and we have never laid eyes on it. For 100 years, that was true of all of them. Not one living colossal squid of any size had ever been watched in its own world. Until last year. In March of 2025, a research ship was working the water around the South Sandwich Islands, a scatter of rock off Antarctica about as remote as anywhere on Earth. They were lowering a robot into the deep on a camera survey, hunting for new life. Around 2,000 feet down, in the dark, something small drifted into the lights. It was a colossal squid. The first one ever seen alive in its own world, 100 years, almost to the year, after we named the species off 2 arms pulled from a whale's gut. A century of beaks and fragments and estimates. And then, finally, a living one, moving in the black in front of a camera. And here's what nobody expected. It was a baby, about 1 foot long, small enough to hold in 2 hands, and it was clear, see-through. Colossal squid are born like glass, transparent in the open water, and only darken to that deep red as they grow. So the first living member of the heaviest invertebrate on Earth that any person ever laid eyes on wasn't the 1,000-pound monster. It was a fragile, see-through infant, drifting alone 2,000 feet down, and it didn't run. The adults are the ones with the enormous eyes, the ones that catch our lights coming and vanish before we arrive. This one just hung there, too young, it seems, to have learned to fear anything, with no idea that creatures like us even exist. So that's where we are. After 100 years, the most any person has ever seen of the largest invertebrate on the planet is a transparent baby the length of your hand, and a scatter of beaks left behind by the things that ate the rest. The grown one, the dinner plate eye, the rotating hooks, the half-ton body that scars whales in the dark, is still out there, still unwatched. We have never seen it. We are surrounded by monsters. We just like ours dead. We dig them out of rock and bolt them back together. We give them names in gift shops, and we file past them on a quiet afternoon completely safe, because the teeth behind the glass haven't closed on anything in 66 million years. That's the deal we've made with the things that scare us. They're allowed to be terrifying as long as they're extinct. The colossal squid never signed it. It's not a fossil. It's not a reconstruction. It is down there right now. A half a ton of cold alien biology, 3 hearts pushing blue blood through the dark, an eye the size of a dinner plate watching the black for the one thing big enough to kill it. We have spent 100 years chasing it, and we have seen it alive exactly once, as a baby smaller than your forearm. Everything else, how big it really grows, how it hunts, how it fights, how it dies, is still down there with it, in the part of our own planet we know less about than the surface of the moon. We didn't put this monster behind glass, we just stopped looking down. The most terrifying creature on Earth was never the one in the museum. It's the one still out there in the dark, and it has no idea we're up here, wondering about it at all.